The statement line. Likes to listen.
Recording in progress.
Call to order the regular meeting of the Rio Dell City Council. Roll call, please.
Mayor Barnes,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Carter,
Present.
Councilmember Orr,
Here.
Councilmember Wilson,
Here.
Councilmember Woodall.
Excused. And there is nothing to report out from our closed session. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public presentations. This is the time for persons who wish to address the council on any matter not on this agenda and over which the council has jurisdiction. As such, a dialogue with the council or staff is not allowed under the Ralph M. Brown Act. Items requiring council actions not listed on this agenda may be placed on the next regular agenda for consideration if the council directs, unless a finding is made by at least 2/3 of the council that the item came up after the agenda was posted and is of an urgency nature requiring immediate action. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Welcome. Please.
Thank you.
State your name and go for it.
Rick Pellrin,
Welcome.
127 Metropolitan Heights Road.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. I live just across the river, same place I lived before. Glad to see all the old hands that have been here and served the community so long. And then I do see a couple that are new since we fought against the wind farms. Now it's been years ago, but I believe Amanda Carter is new since that time. And
I was sitting over there with you for a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm happy to see the new face, and Robert Orr, you're also a new face, at least to me.
Yes.
Look forward to working with you. And I just wanted to start off by saying how much I appreciate the Rio Dell City Council and the representation that you provided for me without me even having to put forth the effort and the work. You guys have all been busy doing that as just a regular course of action. And I can't thank you enough for your support of our Rio Dell Senior Exercise Group. And we all very much appreciate the fact that you are not only cognizant of our needs in the community, but you've helped to create a space for us to use at no charge to us. And we have a very vibrant senior community there every Monday and Friday, working out, staying healthy. And so I appreciate that support. I just had to mention that today to you. And I have other concerns. Primarily, I have questions about that I believe they call it the Butler Dam or whatever it is, or not the Butler Dam, no. So water diversion down south, the one that's, I forget even the name of it now.
Like Salisbury, where the dams are under.
Yeah. Lake Pillsbury and the other lake. I'm interested in it, but I've lost track of it. It was going at the same time as the fight against those wind farms, and it took all of my time just doing that. So I had to kind of pick one or the other. So I'd be interested in knowing how that's going, and perhaps even being a part of that if there's an opportunity to do that. But anyway, that's really all. Big thanks to you, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you very much for coming in. Thank you for your kind words. We appreciate
We
them.
really do.
Are there any hands raised or emails?
No.
And we will move on to the consent calendar. Is there any council member who would like to remove anything from the consent calendar? Okay, any questions from the public? Andrew? Okay, then I would ask for a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
I have a motion, is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second, motion carries 4-0. And we will move on to our city manager and staff update, page 43 in our package, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. I wanted to just give a kudos to the police department and our CSOs for the abatement that occurred on First Avenue the other week. The terrible situation down there, but I am glad that the department was able to handle that and get that situation into a more manageable level of presence for the neighbors down there. The parametric earthquake insurance coverage is anticipated to commence on July 1st of this year with the new budget. And then just a kind of a quick update on our negotiations for solid waste franchise agreement. As the council will recall, this process is kind of a collective effort with several of our neighboring cities and the county here. And as typical with negotiations, there are kind of two parties. And so the pace is kind of dictated, not necessarily always by our side. But the negotiations are continuing and we're hoping to make, very significant progress in the next 2 weeks. But we talked about this July 1st target date. And, as time goes on and the, amount of work that needs to be accomplished over the next 5 months is significant. And so we should be on the glide path for that, but I have to report to the council that we're not. And so the July 1st target date for implementation is a little bit more questionable. Not just for Rio Dell, but for the other jurisdictions as well. So we're going to continue to work with Recology on that to continue to target that date. And again, it's not really so much a concern for the city of Rio Dell, because we're not under any sort of corrective action plan with the Cal Recycle. And then our franchise agreement actually continues through this year. So anyway, so that's a basic staff update for this meeting, and I'm happy to try to answer any questions of his staff.
Thank you, city manager. And with regard to the date of the recycling negotiations that you're going through, that whatever date it is, July, August, September, we're moving as a group, right?
Yes.
As JPA. So
Correct.
it's all the idea was that we wanted to be with the group, not separated. So that, I think that, so. Like
Yeah,
you said,
there's significant savings associated with that, in terms of just the negotiations team that we're working with, the public education and outreach and the actual physical implementation of that project.
Mayor Pro Tem.
No questions. I agree the date doesn't matter as much as the together, the cohesive effort on that. I would like to point out that no cats were transported to Miranda's rescue and only one dog. Eat some ducks. But I don't think that our animal control measures and programs would help with the ducks anyway. So thank you for that. We even dealt with the animals at 520 First Street very, very well. So I won't go into detail, but that was handled in the best way possible. So big thank you for that. And just a general thank you to all city staff in City Hall and in Public Works. We appreciate you. This place would not run without you. Thanks so much. That's it for me.
Thank you. Councilmember Orr?
I have no question.
Councilmember Wilson?
I seem to be okay.
All right. Well, then I think we will close that section. Thank you, staff. Thank you, admin staff. Thank you to all of our staff, just as the Mayor Pro Tem said, you two city manager are in there. So we will move on to special call items. Adopt resolution number 1658-2026, authorizing the chief of police to submit a grant application to the California Highway Patrol for the Cannabis Tax Fund Grant Program, and authorizing the chief of police to execute all related documents. Page 49 in our packets, and I believe it's handed off to the chief of police through the city manager.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, City Council. I am requesting authorization to put into a grant to the California Highway Patrol through the Cannabis Tax Fund Grant Program to obtain $160,000 to support cannabis impaired driving enforcement, training, and prevention. It includes acquisition of equipment related directly to impaired driving enforcement, including a TrueNarc device, which allows the identification of a wide variety of controlled substances, including marijuana, fentanyl, methamphetamine, and many others, without exposing officers to potential toxic handling of that. This grant does not require any city match if it is awarded to us. It is funded to us, and we just have to stick to the parameters as far as what we use it for, the training and implementation of cannabis-based enforcement. It is my recommendation the council adopt resolution 1658-2026 to authorize me to put in for this grant.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilson?
So we have to send our officers to the school for this thing, or does it come here?
Yes, there is a wide variety of DUI cannabis-based trainings that are out there for officers to go to. None of them are here local, although some of them do periodically pop up in the county itself. But this grant provides the funding for officers, including the travel, the hotel accommodation, and the school costs themselves to send people to get a better trained staff to address these issues.
Just for clarification, they have not, I know they passed this in 2016. They allocated quite a bit of money that they were gonna be able to identify whether or not someone was under the influence when they were pulled over, because it's in your system for whatever, for forever. And have they come any farther along in that process?
So as talking about cannabis specifically, there has been no state identified threshold at this point as to how much THC in your system is considered to be too much, like they currently have with alcohol, which makes it a little bit dangerous in my opinion, because you're absolutely right. It does stay in your system for a very long time and exposes you to that. So the argument comes down to a legal matter of, can you show the impairment that goes with it? And at this point, the courts have not ruled, like I said, what amount of THC in your system is enough to get you a DUI. So at this point, it's any amount. But the courts, in going through the whole prosecution phase, you have to be able to show the impairment that goes along with it.
So there's really no way to identify, like you said, with alcohol, there's no way to identify whether they're good, bad, or.
You do the blood test, kind of like you do with the DUI, which shows how much parts per million, or however that's specifically measured, is in your blood. But that's what the threshold is and what that does to you. It comes down to the officer's testimony as far as the impairment that they observed with that individual person on that individual occasion when they were driving. And then the lawyers can argue over how much THC and whether that was truly enough to impair you or not.
Does the grant help with some of this understanding for the officers to be able to
Yes.
spot the impairment? And
Yes, the grant, a lot of the DUI related schools like FST, standardized field sobriety tests, they provide additional training to the officers so that they can not only spot impairment better, but they can do accurate tests to further judge that and demonstrate that in a legal manner to be a little bit better at making these decisions.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Orr?
Nothing, question.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No questions. I think it's a good idea and I'm happy that you're putting in the work to apply for these grants. So, thank you again, and that's it.
Thank you. And you and I talked about it and I fully in support, so I think it's a great idea and thanks for going after the grant. Any questions? Well, you have to come to the podium. I'm sorry you have to do that, but fine, hold it together.
Now, I haven't smoked stuff for ages. I remember back, as a kid, I did. And I could smoke it and I'd have to go hide in a hole. That's so, made me so timid and stuff, you know. But others would smoke and go down to the store, go shop and have a great gay old time. So I don't know, but, it's one of those things that could be hard to enforce. But it seems like, do they have any uniform criteria at all?
So it's pretty standard along with a regular DUI alcohol related. You know, you do the stop, you see them, whatever driving you observe, whether you're just pulling them over for a simple violation or you observe them swerving in and out of the lane, or they can't stop at the stop sign correctly, they pull halfway on the intersection before stopping, that type of stuff is also very important to note. As far as the tests that they run you through, the more training you get with that, the better you get at it, and the more accurately you can judge impairment. And cannabis is a little bit different with some drugs and alcohol specifically, whereas you see other types of things and your response time is delayed. So you may get some people that are chronic users that may appear to be completely fine, but once you start having to multitask and having to do certain things like you do with driving, you're able to detect that impairment a little bit better. So more training for the officers, especially that doesn't cost the city any money, is vastly beneficial.
Thank you. Any hands raised or emails? No? Okay. And I would think that when you do these tests, that's how you actually build a baseline.
Yes.
You know, different city, different, but you get different input. That's how you actually get to a baseline. So. Okay, well then, is there a motion to adopt resolution number 1658-2026?
So moved.
For a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Motion carried 4-0. Thank you. And 2026-0120-1. Authorize the city manager to award the Eel River Trail Accessibility Ramp Project to Hooven and Company for $680,835.70 and authorize the city manager to enter into a construction agreement with Hooven and Company in coordination with the city attorney and authorize the city manager to execute change orders up to a total not to exceed $1.2 million and to execute scope of services with GHD for an amount of $120,611. Page 61 in our packets. City manager.
All right, well, thank you, Mayor Dorns. I think you pretty much covered the item there with the title, but back on August 28th, 2025, the Wildlife Conservation Board of California awarded $1.2 million to the city for the Eel River Trail Accessible Ramp Project. The Wildlife Conservation Board was very excited about this particular project. They were presented approximately 20 of them, and the most comments from the board were about this particular project, or positive comments. So this ramp was originally part of the scope of the Clean California grant, but it had to be removed from the project for construction cost considerations as the bids came in very high for that particular project. On October 21st, 2025, the council authorized for the city engineer to prepare the existing plans that were paid for under Clean California to be compliant with the Wildlife Conservation Board requirements and manage the bidding process for this particular project. And the bidding process is now complete. And so if approved, this item authorizes the award of the project to the low bidder in an amount that the mayor described earlier and would move forward. The item would also move forward with a construction agreement to expedite GHD to expedite the work. And so the project is expected to come in under budget. The $1.2 million is a healthy award for the project. This item will also approve GHD to oversee construction management, inspection, environmental services. These are very important, particularly with any ADA project. Because typically deviations, even small deviations from ADA requirements make a project non-ADA compliant. So the timing of this particular item is important because the city will need the contractor to begin prepping the site before the 2026 birding season, which my understanding begins March 1st. So basically, we want to get them on site, get the site prepped before the birding season so that they can come in later in the year and do the actual installation work without interrupting the birding season. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have and return it back to the mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilson?
No questions.
Councilmember Miller? No. Mayor Pro Tem?
Let's get it done. It's exciting. And I also remember the bird nesting season kind of throwing a hitch in the giddy up last year too. So let's not do that. We learned our lesson. Let's go. So yeah, no questions. Great news. Yay.
Yay. And I think, I just wonder, this isn't so much question, is there a design somewhere out there, like a physical, this is the way it's gonna look situation?
Yeah, we've had a design for the project for quite some time. So we would have had one, back for the construction contract for the original Eel River Trail.
I knew there had been, but there was that elevation thing that became.
Yeah, it's essentially a series of zigzags in order to meet the ADA compliance. And in this case, it's sort of a hybrid between ramps and stairs.
Okay.
So.
Awesome. Well, yay. Is there a question?
I do have a question. Kyle, is this associated with this Great California Trail?
Yeah, so the trail is seen as a spur of the Great Redwood Trail.
Is it on that side of the river?
It is on this side of the
On
river.
this side of the river?
Yeah, yeah. So it's
So they're going to avoid that slide area.
So my understanding is that there's a reason the railroad didn't continue on in time, and part of that was the bluff situation of there is incredibly tricky to navigate, and so I don't know the final trail alignment for where they would place the trail, but my guess is that it would be coming through Rio Dell proper, where there's already bike lanes and biking infrastructure, as opposed to creating a whole new trail on the other side of the river that, is going to be very expensive to maintain.
I saw the plans for that, and then they are wanting to go through Rio Dell. They have to bypass that bluff.
It is there will be a spur, as city manager said. That is always a possibility that they can do that at some point in the future. And it's very important that we have that thought in our head that there's always the possibility of them doing that. So it's not a write-off. We are not saying that it will never be over there. That's all but that's a very important, point to make. So I will get through. So is there a motion, are there any emails or hand raised? Okay, so is there a motion to authorize the city manager?
Mayor, just because I apologize for it being lengthy, the recommendation would just be for the recommended action.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion for the recommended action? So moved. Is there a second? Second. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you for that, city manager. I didn't want to do that again. Okay, and finally, the second reading by title only and adoption of ordinance number 420-2026, amending section 15.05.020 building codes of the Rio Dell Municipal Code to reference the 2025 California Building Codes and the 2024 International Property Maintenance Code, page 76 in our packets.
All right, thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. So this is kind of a standard item that the city is required to go through for the annual adoption of the California Building Standards Commission, their building code adoption and publishing for the building codes that the city is ultimately responsible to enforce on behalf of the state of California. So again, this happens annually. Staff is recommending that you open the item up for any public comments on this particular item if there is none, to close the public comment, and then move forward with the adoption of ordinance number 420-2026.
Thank you, City Manager. So we'll open it up for public comment. Is there anything, any hand raised, any emails, any questions from Councilmember Orr, Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Wilson? Then is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 420-2026?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Motion carries 4-0. That brings us to council communications, reports and communications, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. We are starting to plan Wildwood Days already, which is kind of wild, but it's going a little bit differently this year in that they are looking for community input on a theme. So if you go to either the Chamber of Commerce website or their Facebook page, there is a survey there where you can express your ideas for what you think would be a cool Wildwood Days theme. So please take a look at that. Later this week, I'm going to Sacramento for a Cal Cities policy meeting. I'm very excited because I'm now on the Community Services Policy Committee, which is going to be a better fit for me and for Rio Dell. So I'm happy about that. There's a nuisance advisory committee meeting in this room tomorrow at 3 p.m. Later next week, I have an in-person COAD board retreat, which is Community Organizations Active in Disaster. They helped us a whole lot during the earthquake. So we'll be hearing what's on the docket for the next year for COAD. Lastly, and this was on my list before you came and made public comment, I really want to give a periodic big shout out to the Resource Center and to Sarah Reback specifically. I'm over there a lot. I volunteer there fairly regularly, and I've seen things in the last week that made me really, really reflect on how appreciative I am, and we all should be, for her and for that space and what she's done with it. This community would not look the same without that resource center. If you, anybody listening or anybody up here has never really popped your head in there, highly recommend it. That place is a light in the darkness for a lot of people. So I just want to publicly thank Sarah and everything she's done with that resource center. So thank you, that's it.
Okay, here to that.
Yeah.
Councilmember Orr.
Nothing other than thank you for getting the vicious ducks off our streets.
Not the bitches, ducks.
If you didn't, my children were going to do a duck napping in the garden. So, thank you.
Councilmember Wilson.
Yeah, ducks are, used to have a bunch of them in Scotia. Ducks are interesting little character. Anyway, the only thing I have Thursday is RCEA, and we're still, it'll be interesting what they have after they've had this meeting with Mr. Hoffman about the windmills, the money and what they want to do with that. The current administration isn't really big on windmills at all, and so RCEA, they've actually been less than fair about communicating with RCEA. I mean, if you're not going to do it, don't do it. I mean, do one way or the other. But they weren't good at all about being straightforward with RCEA and telling them what they were going to do. And so they'll have some more. I didn't go to that meeting, but they'll have some more feedback, even though it's a long ways out for the reality, and they can, the way they do it. So, then we have, other than that, that's all I have.
Well, the judges came down on the side of wind just today, so it's in the paper, you can read it. Read about that.
What was
The
it?
judges that came down on the side of wind.
Yeah, I saw that
So, yeah, so, that's a step.
they're for
yeah. I attended a Seismic Safety Commission meeting on Thursday of last week, and we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Seismic Commission. They asked me to speak about Rio Dell and the Seismic Commission, and so I did do that. And we had a meeting at the Capitol, and we went down to the Assembly floor. They did a resolution, and so that's a big deal for the Seismic Safety Commission. I'm going this Thursday to Ukiah to a Great Redwood Trail Agency board meeting, and from there I'll be going to Sacramento to the Environmental Quality Committee for Cal Cities. It's a mouthful. Well, I know. And I think that's me. And I think, well, the day after our last meeting, I went to HTA, and our executive director is retiring May 18th, in May. Greg is going to retire, and Katie, the deputy, will be stepping into that position. So that announcement was, I think they did a public release the next day. So that was my HTA. And I think with that, I will say that I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second. The Dell City Council meeting is adjourned until February 3rd, 2026 at 6:00. Thank you. Thank you for being here. It's good to see you again.